Hi gang, this is the third video with graphing. In this particular video, we're going to be going over a couple of different sections in your book. So I'm going to tell you the page numbers now so that maybe you can mark them as we go. We're going to start on page 657. And then we're going to move to page... the next page we go to 665, and let's see, I was thinking there was another page. Oh, 674. So those are the three areas that we're going to be working on. We're talking about slope today, and it would be great if we could get out there on those slopes, but unfortunately they're closed. So we're going to start on page 657 and 658, and we're going to look at problems 59 through 62. So I'll give you a second to get to 657. And it says complete 59 through 62 now. So I'm going to go over these with you as well. So let's look at these story problems. The first one is online advertising. Spending for online advertising is increasing, especially now with the pandemic. The amount A in billions of dollars spent worldwide for online advertising can be approximated and projected by, and then they give you an equation. And so the equation that they give you is A is equal to $12.83T plus 68.38. All right, this is our equation of the line. So where we usually have a y, we're using an a. So keep that in mind. And where we usually have an x, we have a t. Okay, so keep that in mind. The a is, again, the amount in billions of dollars spent worldwide. And the t... If we look at the bottom of the graph, you can see the T represents time. It goes from 2010 to 2014. All right, so this is in what we call y-intercept form, this particular equation, because we've got the y all by itself, and then we've got the T next to a number. The number that it's next to is actually going to be the slope, the 12.83. That's determining if it's falling or rising, and it's falling or rising that much. The y-intercept is the 68.38. And so this point on your graph would actually be 0, 68.38. Okay? All right, so let's see what they would like for us to do with this graph. It says A, find the amount spent for online advertising in 2010, in 2014, and 2015. So let's start with 2010. And so if you look at your graph, you can see at the bottom of the graph, the 2010 starts where the 0 is. So on our graph, the 2010 would be represented here, and then it moves forward, and the last year they give us is 6, and so that would be 2014, I think. 11, 12, no, 2014 is the 4. So this is 2014. So this would be 2011, 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16. Okay. Okay. So, find the amount that's spent on online advertising in 2010. And so we would, so 2010, the time is 0, and it's not rising either, it's just 0, 0. That's what happened to there's the equation. Okay, so to solve this then, we would say A is equal to 12.83 times 0, which would give us 0 there, and then we would add 68.38 to it. So the amount spent then would be 68.38. And that's in billions of dollars. Okay, so we're going to use that same equation. So over here I'll write our answers. So we had, in 2010, it was 68.38. All right, so now it says 2014. So if you look at your graph for 2014, you can see that 2014 is 4 years from 2010. And so the T is going to be a 4. So it'd be times 4, and then plus the 68.38. So 12.83 times 4, and I've got to grab my calculator. So 12.83 times 4 is equal to 5132. And then we're going to add the 6838 to that, so plus. And we get 119.7. So then the amount that they spent is $119.7 billion. Might as well put dollar signs by those two, huh? Okay, so again, we took the time, which was 4 years, we multiplied it times our slope, and then we added that to the y-intercept. All right, so the next one they asked us to find was for the year 2015. So again, if you look at your graph, from 0 to 2015 would be 5 years. So we're going to multiply the slope times the time, which is 5, and then we'll add the 68.38. So we get A is equal to $132.53 billion. So in 2015, the amount spent was, and remember this is online spending, is 132 billion and 0.53, so 53 million. Okay, let's look at B. It says graph the equation and use the graph to estimate the amount spent for online advertising in 2012. Sorry, it was online advertising. This is what the money is going to, not just spending. Use the graph to estimate the amount spent for online advertising in 2012. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and graph this. And so we have 2010, and we have 6838. So this represents 2010, and then the 68, we're going to have to use this for our numbers, and let's use, I'm going to make like a little ziggity line, meaning that there's more time that is passing by than what I am writing, or more amount. And so it's going to be, our first one was 6838, 68.38. I'm sorry that these are fat little numbers that are hard to read. And we're going to put that, I'm going to erase this. Let's see. Okay, so this is where the time or the amount of money is, we're just kind of jumping up. So we're jumping up to our first amount. And so I'm going to put in a different color the 60 here. So then 68 would be about here. And then, wow, this is just not working because of not the fine points. So, okay, 60 is here. 80 I'm going to put here. 100 is going to be there. So this would be 120. This would be 140, and this would be 160. So you can see that I'm counting by 20s on the graph. Okay. Sorry, my computer shut off again, so I had to turn it on. All right, so find the amount spent for online advertising in 2010. So we figured that was 68,038, and that's going to be represented by this red dot. And then the second one was 2014, which was 119. So 2014 is here. So 119, so if this is 100, I'm just going to put it a little bit above to show the 119. And then the next one was 2015 at 132. So here's 2015, and then 132. Here's the 20, here's the 40. So it's going to be a little bit above the 20, maybe halfway would be 30, so just a little bit above that 30. And then it looks like I need to adjust this point because that's definitely not in line with the others. So in 2014, there we go. It's hard to be exact when you're using your eyes. Okay, so then we can go ahead and make the graph. So again, this point represents the 2010, this one is the 2014, and this is the 2015. So this was the 68 billion, or million, it was billion I think, 68 billion, and our next point was the 119, and then this one was the 132. Looks like I still needed to move that fourth point up a little bit, didn't I? To maybe there. Okay. All right. And so you can also see that it's a positive slope on that as well. All right. Let's go ahead and look at number 61. So 61 says sheeps and lambs. And it says the number of sheep and lambs in millions on farms in the United States has declined in recent years and can be approximated and projected by, and then it gives you another equation of the line. So the equation of the line is S is equal to a negative, so that's telling you, it's a negative slope, 0.125t plus 6.89, what was that? 8. Okay. So the way that we have been doing things, the S is representing the Y. This, a negative 1.25 is the slope. The T is the X, and in this case it's representing time. And this would be the Y-intercept, okay? The first thing they ask for us to do is find the number of sheep and lambs in 2000 and 2007 and 2012. So 2000, 2007, and 2012. So across the bottom of our graph, we're going to be using those dates. And so let's make 2000 be the 0, 0. So this would represent 2000. And so then 2007, let's go ahead and make it, let's see, if that's 0, 2000, maybe we'll make this 2003, and then let's make this, no, let's not do that. Let's count it by 2. So this is 2000, so this would be 2002. This is going to be 2004. This will be 2006. So 2007 would be right there. This is 2008, 2010, and then the 6 is going to be 2012. Okay. Okay. And then going on the y-axis, it's millions of dollars. And this one will be really easy. This is going to be 1 million, 2 million, 3 million, 4 million, 5 million, 6 million. I think we're going to need that 7 million, so I'm going to write it up at the top. Okay, so find the number of sheep and lambs in 2000. And so we're going to use the equation that we have. And so 2000, we're starting with 0. So this would just be a negative 0.125 times 0, which would be 0. And so it would be S is equal to 6.898. So on our graph then, here's the 0. We need to climb up to almost the 7, which is right there. And so our point is just going to be right at that tail of that 7. And I'll make that in blue just so it shows up a little better. Okay. And then 2007, so we're talking about here is where we're going to start. And then we're going to need to use our equation. So we're going to have S is equal to a negative 1.25 times 7 plus 6.898. And so again, let's get our calculators out. So we've got a negative 0.125 times 6.898, and we get a negative 0.86225. So let me make sure I did that right. We've got 0.125 times 7, and we get I have to do that again. I must have had something in my calculator because I'm getting a different answer. Let's try it again. So we've got 0.125 negative times 7, and we get 0.875, and that's a negative, plus 6.898. So, and so we get a positive 6, 0, 2, 3. So our year was 2007. The sales were 6.89, which is just under the 7. And so there's our point. Okay. And then 2012. So 2012, so that would be 12 years. So we're going to multiply 0.125 times 12. And then we're going to add, that gives us 1.5, then we're going to add to that 6.898. Actually, it was a negative, so we should have 5.398. So 5 would be here. Oh wait, 12 is here. And 5.3 is right there. And to help the graph, I'm going to move it just up a little bit. Our line is not going to be too perfect this time. Okay, so if we start approximately there, and you can see that it's headed down. This one should have probably been down maybe a little, or maybe the first one should have been up a little farther. And there we go. And so you can see that, as they said, in recent years, the sheep and lambs on farms has declined. And you can see the graph that shows the rate of the decline. Okay, and then C says, at this rate of decline, in what year will the number of sheep and lambs be 4.89 million? So 4.89 is about here. So it's kind of where the tip of that point is. And so if maybe you could see, okay, this is 2014, 2016. So possibly you could make an estimate that in about 2016, the lambs and sheep on farms will decrease to 4.89 million. Okay, and you can also see the negative slope. You can see it falling. All right, great. Let's see how much time that was. That's 22. All right, so I think I'm going to have you do number 60 and 62 on your own. And we're going to stop the video now because, again, it's getting just a little bit long. And we will pick it up in just a minute, and then we'll continue with the lesson on slope.